Please note the meeting is being recorded.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here to call to order the Finance Committee meeting for Ascension Parish Council, February the 8th, 2021. I'd like to call on Councilman Corey Orgeron to do the invocation and pledge.
Thank you, John. Before we get started, I was asked to recognize Miss Melinda Gutierrez, friend of many of us, who passed away recently. Let's keep her and her family in our prayers as we reach out. Oh Lord God, we thank you for the tremendous days that you have provided us, the great health to many of us, and the ability to do your work here on earth. Lord, as we move forward in tonight's meeting, keep us reminded of the need for focusing on your people and doing your work as humbly and as kind as we possibly can. In the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, we pray, amen.
Amen.
Prepare yourselves for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Orgeron. I really appreciate that. Continuing with the agenda, under Chair's additions, it was brought to my attention earlier, not too long ago, the administration is requesting that we remove item C from the agenda. And so that will be stricken. And then under item D, they requested an amendment to that, and I will read the amendment that they're requesting and ask for a motion to second. And of course, we have to have a unanimous vote to approve that amended agenda. The new amended agenda item will read, approved to execute a service contract with Acadian Security for GPS mobile monitoring service up to a total of 500 units with a not to exceed cost of $12,500 per month and $150,000 annually. The exact payment will be only for the units that GPS devices installed and based on the rate of this contract utilizing a discount rate of $25 per unit. Units will be budgeted and paid for out of each department's budget separately, and it is done as it is done under the current GPS contract. And what that does, folks, it reduces our cost $5 per unit from 30 to 25, and it's a cheaper rental. Councilman Orgeron. Got a motion to amend the agenda, second by Councilman Michael Mason. Councilman Robert.
I just had a question. Just now, so it now says that we pay the set fee plus the monthly fee, the annual fee, or is it still or? Because when you just read it, it says the exceeded cost of, I think you said $12,500 per month, and this says or $156,000 annually because you read and. So is it and or right there?
It's or.
Okay, cool. Just making sure.
It's either or. It's not to exceed $150,000 annually.
Good. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? We got a motion and a second. Any objection? Motion carries. That item D is amended to read as I stated. At this point in time, I'm going to describe the public comment period. Anyone who has a comment on or a question on an agenda item is to call 225-621-8636 and enter the participant code of 939496. And this comment period will begin immediately as I ask the secretary to read the agenda, the amended agenda, and as she reads the amended agenda, you have time to call in, and then we're going to proceed with the general business items on the agenda. And at this time, I'd ask Dawn Caballera. Dawn is standing in tonight for Ashley, and we do appreciate that. Dawn, would you please read the agenda as amended?
Sure. General business presentation to provide an update on the ERP project and to propose a new phase 3 to the project to include EAM, Parks and Recreation, 311, and My Civic software modules. Change order number 6 to master contract with the Lemoyne Company for new courthouse construction for reconfiguration of staging holding room 129 for an additional cost of $19,996 to be paid for by the Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office. Approval to execute a service contract with Acadian Security for GPS mobile monitoring service up to a total of 500 units with a not to exceed cost of $12,500 per month or $150,000 annually. The exact payment will be only for units that get GPS devices installed, and based on the rate in this contract, utilizing a discount rate of $25 per unit. Units will be budgeted and paid for out of each department's budget separately as it is done under the current GPS contract. Amendment number 1 to master contract with H&O Grounds Maintenance Services for the additional scope of work, mowing of roadside ditches in the parish for an additional amount of $140,000. Discussion and approval of options to proceed with Lamar Dixon Gym project. Renewal of contract with CK Associates LLC for stormwater management program plan under the municipal separate storm sewer system permitting program. Total contract not to exceed $50,000. Amendment number 1 to master contract with Tipton Associates, Ascension Parish OEP and Human Resources Relocation for the addition of phase 2, complete design, development, construction documents, bidding and negotiations, fee of $16,000, and phase 3, construction, administration, and closeout, fee of $11,000. Total amendment amount is $27,000 with a total contract amount of $35,000. Resolution for designation of authorized signatory on behalf of the parish on sales tax exemption certificates. Amendment number 2 to management and operating agreement between Big Events LLC and Ascension Parish government to extend the agreement for an additional year through February 28, 2022 to continue as preferred food vendor for all food and beverages for concessions, catering projects, or events at Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Monthly contract report, January 2021. Budget amendment number 2, approval to introduce ordinance to amend the 2021 budget. Bid quote items to accept lowest responsive bid quote as follows. Lamar Dixon Lighting Upgrade Parish of Ascension bid Doyle Electric Inc. $857,605.
You're muted, Mr. John.
Thank you so much. I'm muted, so I wouldn't be talking over her. We're going to continue with general business item A, and that calls for presentation to provide an update on the ERP project and to propose new phase 3 to the project to include EAM, Parks and Rec, 311, and My Civic software modules. We're going to call on Brandon O'Day to make that presentation. And what we'll do, since this probably will call for a vote, we're going to allow him to make his presentation while the public comment period is going on. And at the end of his presentation, I'll check with Dawn to see if anyone has called about an agenda item before we go into a vote on this item, okay? Okay, Brandon, go right ahead, please.
Thank you, Councilman Cagnolati, Finance Committee members. I was asked to give you guys an update on the ERP project. Those of you that are on your first term on the council and on the committee, this will just kind of be a historical overview about what all we've implemented as part of this project. And then we're going to be asking to continue the project with a phase 3, where we're asking for some additional modules to be purchased. So John, if you want to go to the first slide. So this is kind of an overview, 30,000-foot view of the phases of the ERP project. see, we started phase one in 2017, and we completed phase one, which was the financials, in October of 2018. Phase two, we began immediately after that. It took us a year. That was HCM, which is Human Capital Management. So that's your HR software, along with payroll. And then we're currently in what we're calling phase 2.5, which is we just finished the upgrade to the Munis system to version 2019. The ExecuTime project is currently ongoing with a go live scheduled for March of this year. And then the Tyler Open Finance project, which I think was discussed in the previous council meeting a little bit. We're hoping to go live with that March of this year as well. And then phase three, which is what we're proposing tonight, additional modules to be purchased, all part of the same software package. That's the Tyler EAM, which is Enterprise Asset Management. That's your work order piece. The Tyler Parks and Rec module, which is for the Recreation Department. And then the Tyler 311s and My Civic, which is your call center software. And then also the My Civic is your mobile app that you would download from the App Store. And we're hoping to start in March of this year on that, if you guys allow us to, and we're looking at a 1-year implementation period for this phase three. So this is just kind of an overview for phase one and the timeline and what all we did during phase one. I'll just give you a second to look at it. I'm not going to go over all of them, but we started off with those fundamental reviews in 2017. We go through and do a future state, current state analysis. We then get all the settings correct in the system, and then we begin our training. And then, like I mentioned earlier, we went live October of 2018 with the financials piece. This is an overview of the modules that we purchased and installed. I'll give you a second to look over those, but it's all of your basic financial pieces that any ERP software would contain. This is just a screenshot of the requisitions module that our departments use to create requisitions. And then a little summary there on the left for you. This past year, we processed 4,751 requisitions, totaling $34.6 million. And this is just a screenshot of the expenditure dashboard that our finance department uses. All right, and so as we're going along through these phases, one of the things that we're doing is making note of any issues that we encounter and hopefully addressing them as they come up during the project. So this is just a high level of the issues that we had during phase one and some of the challenges that our departments faced. So the retraining of users I'm going to touch on a little bit later in the presentation, but just note that we had initial training during phase one, but we're looking to go back and to retrain some of our users on the software modules that we purchased. Bugs in the software, that really hasn't been too big of a deal here lately, but the original version of Munis that we were on, we had a number of bugs to address, and to go along with that, Tyler was slow at patching and providing updates, but now that we're on this newest version, which seems to be the version that the majority of their customers are on, the patches and the updates are coming a lot quicker, so I'm happy to say that that's mostly been addressed. Knowledge and experience of the Tyler IC, that was a big issue that we had in phase one. The implementation consultant that Tyler provided, this was her first big project that she had ever done, and we struggled along with her in some of the issues that go along with these big software implementations. But I will say that we did learn from this, and whenever we started phase two, we asked to interview the implementation consultant that was being assigned to us. So we were able to find somebody that was a seasoned veteran and knew the software well enough to be able to train us properly. And then some of the other items there, Workflow maintenance was a big issue early on because we had never had a workflow engine like this. I'll talk a little bit more about that whenever we get to phase 2. End user resistance to change. I mean, that's anytime you install new software and you're asking your end users to learn something new, you're always going to have some of that. And then the timing of phase 2 and 3, which we thought was going to be a big deal, but ended up not. So again, I'm going to talk a little bit about phase 3 here in a bit. Go ahead, John. Phase 2, HCM and payroll. So these were your kind of overview with dates of the major milestones for the HR and payroll modules. I'll give you a second to just kind of look at that. But basically, it's the same thing. We go through and do the future state, current state analysis with the departments that are involved. We go through and build all of the codes, and Lord knows there was a lot of codes with HR and payroll. And continuing on through to training and executive and payroll process training. And I think it continues to the next slide, John. Yep. All the way through to go live, which was October of 2019. Go ahead. These were your modules that we purchased for the HR piece. Again, these are very common across the majority of your HR softwares that are out there. I'll give you a second to kind of review that, but these are the modules that we purchased and our HR department have been using. A major one there that we're using more and more now is the employee self-service. That's what allows our employees to go in and update their personnel information, allows them to see their paycheck stubs online, as well as the ability to download their W-2s electronically. And then these are your payroll pieces. Again, common modules that's in pretty much any type of payroll system that's out there on the market. And then for our phase 2, I kind of carried over some of the issues that we had that we noted in phase 1, and your scratch throughs there in red is just basically we didn't have those issues in phase 2. So we struck those through in red, and then I've got the highlighted there of the retraining of our users. And it's something that we're going to address. I'm going to show you here in a second in phase 3 about how we're going to address the retraining of our end users. So phase 2.5, so this is what we're currently doing now. This phase began with open enrollment. So whenever we initially implemented the HR piece of this, we did so in October of last year, which didn't give us enough time to roll out the open enrollment piece. So this year's open enrollment, or I should say last year's open enrollment was the first time that our employees were able to use this. Like I mentioned, we upgraded Munis to version 2019. We're continuing the executive rollout with a go live expected next month, and then the open finance go live as well. So that will finish up this phase 2.5 as we're calling it. All right, so the original ERP contract, was for 1.6 mil. Like I mentioned, that will end here shortly whenever we finish the executive rollout. And total to date, we've spent 1.3. So I am happy to say that it looks like we'll come in just under budget with this part of the contract. All right, so phase 3 is what we're proposing. These are the modules that we're proposing to purchase with phase 3. That's the EAM, Parks and Rec, 311 call center, and the MyCivic. And then in addition to this, the end user training for not just the phase 3 modules, but for all previous modules as well. This is just a screenshot of what the EAM software looks like. On the left is what it looks like on the desktop, and then on the right is what it looks like on an iPad or a mobile device. But this is basically your work orders, your departments that deal with work orders. This is kind of an overview of EAM. Again, a view of your assets and how it functions as part of the greater system, your ability to apply work orders to your assets to determine your total cost of owning and operating those assets. The system will have full GIS integration, and it'll integrate directly with the modules that we've already purchased, such as finance and HR, which are key to be able to capture that labor, equipment, and materials. And then also, this has a fleet management module with full GPS integration. This is an overview of the Parks and Rec module. So what this is going to allow is the ability to rent facilities online. You'll be able we'll have a calendar view, and you'll be able to go to that particular facility to see when and if it's available, what the cost is, and actually be able to place that reservation online. You'll also have the ability, as the Recreation Department rolls out these additional services that they're planning, you'll be able, as a citizen, to go and sign up for, if let's say the parish starts giving swim lessons or something like that, you'll be able to go and sign up for those types of things. And then it integrates directly with the financials module and the cashiering so that all those financial transactions are captured. And then this is the 311/call center software. This will be the portal that our citizens would use to report issues to the parish. Obviously, they'll still have the ability to call the 450 number that they're calling now that goes straight to the call center. But this is also the software that the call center will use to document those issues and get them in the system and over to the corresponding department. And then this goes along with that citizen portal. This is something that the administration has been asking for since day one, basically, and all a one-stop shop type of application that we can put on mobile devices that is everything Ascension Parish government. It'll be fully customizable. As you can see, it's kind of a wheel that you can scroll through. And it'll get you to the places that you need to get to as far as being able to submit an issue, or if you're looking for the assessor's office, we'll have a link to the assessor's office, so you're not having to search through multiple websites or multiple applications to find what you're looking for. And then the final piece of this phase 3 that we're talking about is the training initiative to continue to train our staff using the ERP software modules that we've already purchased. We're going to be engaging with the Tyler Technology consultants. Every 3 years, we have the ability to ask them to come in and analyze how we're currently using their software. And we've just started that process now. We're hoping to possibly have this done and have a report that we can get back to you guys by the middle of the year. And then to engage with surrounding communities in their use of Tyler software. So this is just simply reaching out to the other government entities that are near us that are also customers of Tyler and are using the same modules to just to get their feedback and maybe bounce ideas off of them about how they're currently using the software maybe more efficiently than we are. And I'm hoping we can kind of learn from each other with that. And the cost for phase 3. So we asked Tyler to provide a cost for if we were to purchase all this at once, hoping that they would give us a discount, and they did. And they're also allowing us to spread it across 2 years so that we're not having to pay for all this in one fiscal year. So your 2021 cost would be $308,180, and then your 2022 cost would be the $222,579. And we are looking at a 12-month implementation for this. So if we started it in March of this year, we would be finishing it up hopefully in March of 2022. And I'm just going to wrap up with this slide. This is one that we started with, but just kind of an overview of all the phases and that phase 3 there that we're asking you guys to approve for us tonight. And if you have any questions or any comments, I'll be glad to hear them.
Any questions, Aaron, Councilman Waller?
Yes, sir. First of all, it was a great presentation. I really enjoyed it. I'm very excited about the recreation portion of it. I know that's something that we've been working towards for a long time. I think it'll really help us out in the parish. I think this is all worthwhile. I've seen some of the work that we're already doing in this because it's been going on for a long time, and it's been good work all the way through. So I would make a motion that we move forward with this program, this progress, I would say.
Before we make a motion, what I need to do before we go into the business end of this, we did the presentation and we did it during the allotted time for the public comment period. So at this time, I would ask Dawn. Dawn, has anyone called in or requested to speak on any of the agenda items?
Brandon went to check real quick. We'll let you know in just a minute.
Okay. We'll just wait till Brandon gets back, but procedurally, that's the way we're going to have to do it.
Okay. No, there were no calls.
And no email.
Okay, very good. Okay, now I will take a motion and a second for phase 3. Motion by Terry, second by, I think Aaron had made this original motion, second by Terry. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any objection? I'm sorry, Councilman White.
Yeah, I don't have any objection. I also really enjoyed the presentation, a lot of good information. I just had a couple questions. Tyler, I'm assuming this is the same software that's going to run the financial piece of Open Checkbook. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
So as this goes on, I'm assuming we pay some kind of yearly as the years come to maintain this, upgrade it. I mean, that's just part of the licensing. That's something we budget for each year.
Correct. There is a maintenance fee that goes along with it, just like you get with any type of software package. But yes, there is a maintenance fee that goes along with it.
Okay. And as far as budgets, is this something that comes out of IT, or do we distribute this across different departments?
This comes out of the general admin.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, any other questions? I just real quick, Brandon, have we been okay with Tyler's performance or service?
Overall, yes, it's gotten better. It was definitely off to a shaky start when I kind of noted some of those phase 1 issues that we had. But it's gotten better. And then since we upgraded to this new version, the version 2019, the updates that fix the little bugs that we've been encountering, those have been coming a lot quicker now. So we're definitely better off than we were. I can say that.
Very good. Okay. Dow?
Sorry, one more question I thought of that I forgot. As far as like when we start building these dashboards for the financials for the public to look at, is that something that we get trained on internally that you do, or is that part of the maintenance, or do we have to pay additional to have them come in and set up different dashboards? That's something we do ourselves?
No, so the annual fee that we pay for the open finance piece, that includes as much training as our, basically Brian Martinez, as much training and help that he needs in setting those dashboards up, they provide that as part of that fee.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering, I mean, we have, even with my company, we have different dashboards, and I know certain people in our company are trained to be able to alter them. And I mean, is this something where different committees can ask for different dashboards to look at also? Work with Brian to maybe set up a dashboard we'd like to look at?
Yeah, there's another piece of this. So the open finance piece is what we're looking to go live with in March. That's the public portal. There's another piece to this called Executive Insights, which we're doing a 1-year free trial of with Tyler. They just came out with it. We're kind of helping them beta test it, I guess you could call it. But it's an internal dashboard that we can give our director, and we can set it up however they want it set up, and it's going to give them the key performance indicators that they're looking for their particular department. And then yes, we asked that question as well, if we could set it up for our elected officials to be able to use, so that we could show you financial figures just for your district. And they're telling us that kind of thing is possible, but we haven't seen that.
Okay. Yeah, sounds exciting. Thank you.
Okay.
Sure.
Any other questions? Any further discussion? Any objections? There being none, the motion carries. Thank you so much, Brandon. We appreciate that very informational presentation.
Thank
Okay,
you.
we skipped item, I'm sorry, we're going to item B. Change order number 6 to the master contract with Lemoyne Company for new courthouse construction for reconfiguration of staging, holding room 129 for an additional cost of $19,996 to be paid
Motion
for
to
by the
approve.
Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office.
Second.
Who gave me the motion?
I did. Terry.
Motion by Councilwoman Cazo, second by Councilman Robert. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. All right, moving on, we removed item C. So item D, the approval to execute a service contract with Acadian Security for GPS mobile monitoring service up to a total of 500 units with a not to exceed cost of $12,500 per month or $150,000 annually. The exact payment will be only for units that GPS devices installed based on the rate is the discount utilizing a discounted rate of $25 per unit. Units will be budgeted and paid for out of each department's budget separately as it is done under the current GPS contract.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Robert, second by Councilman Lambert. Any questions? Councilman Lawler.
Yes, when this was talked about probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, I had some concerns about driver monitoring and how we were going to handle that if we had, I guess, rules in place so that drivers couldn't be arbitrarily cited for maybe speeding at one driver cited for speeding, another driver cited for not speeding. Have we created any rules or regulations dealing with that as far as HR goes?
Let's see.
No, we haven't, Mr. Lawler.
Go ahead, Jay.
Okay.
No, we haven't. I've reached out to HR and legal a week ago upon working on this contract, because that is one of my concerns when you move forward with this type of project, that we do have some policies and procedures in place. So that is a part that we will be working through towards implementation of this.
Okay, very good. I think it's very important because before we start using this information to possibly either discipline or reward employees based on their driving patterns, I want to make sure that we have some good rules in place, policies and procedures to make sure it's done fairly across the board. Thank you.
Councilwoman Cazo.
I share Mr. Lawler's concern back when we began this process, and I can't remember, like Aaron, I don't remember how many years ago, but we asked then for that no tracking device be turned on an employee's car until we had policies and procedures in place. I don't think any ever got done. And it's very unfortunate because this is a tool that should be able to be utilized to make sure that we're doing a great job, but it should not be used as a hammer. And it should not be used to harm somebody who has a vendetta on another employee. And I can tell you that was going on years ago. So it is going to be important to me. I would certainly ask that no GPS be turned on a car until we have some policies and procedures in place that protect our employees from harassment with this, what should be an efficiency tool that turns into a battering ram.
Good comments. Good comments. With that in mind, we had a motion and a second. Councilman Wagasback.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we need to go through the whole presentation, but I mean, I'd like to hear Jay talk about it a little bit, if everybody's okay with that. Touch on the high points, maybe. I don't know. I mean, you took the time to put it together. I think it'd be nice to see him go over some of it.
Absolutely.
Okay, Jay, you there?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members. I want to say, Ms. Casso, that I do share the same feelings, and I did develop a fleet operations plan of action and vision That is, I don't think y'all have gotten a view yet, but this was given at my time of interview a little over 90 days ago, and it really shares a lot of information about policies and procedures. So I do think that's very important to the parish of Ascension to develop these policies and procedures. With that said, I'll move on with a little quick presentation. Over the last 90 days of evaluating fleet, my findings were consistent with that I've heard from the council, administration, and SSA to bring more efficiency and accountability to the parish. With my first major findings, I am bringing forth the request to change our current GPS contractor from NGO to Acadian using Geotab, not for only the money savings, but the features and benefits. Next slide. Our current GPS solution, please go back. Thank you. Our current solution costs us $30 a month and offers very simple tracking. Next slide. The proposed solution with Geotab will run us, this slide is incorrect. It is $25 per month per device. It offers real-time tracking, route recording, real-time data and alerting, driver monitoring alerts. I'm not going to finish reading the rest, but what I do is want to iterate on is really why this was brought to the table, to be able to measure productivity. And this GPS solution measures a lot of productivity using that real-time tracking and route recording. Next slide, please. And we need to skip that one. So this Geotab solution compared, we can see here the real-time active tracking, the efficient patented curve-based algorithm for tracking these vehicles. Using that real path algorithm, we're able to use the auxiliary inputs on mowing devices, sprayers, tachometers, and mileage data to produce the productive level reports of the things such as mowing and spraying. This allows us to track the roadways, the waterways, and produce the matrices and data to be accountable for productivity and efficiency within the parish. Next, please. So this screenshot here shows you our current situation. You can see the point-to-point displayed, and it's not an accurate representation of the actual route traveled. Therefore, the data associated with this depiction cannot be relied on. Next, please. As stated, Geotab was ranked #1 worldwide by ABI Research. Geotab is now one of the largest providers, over 2 million vehicles. This provider of Geotab, I've dealt with these guys before, and I want to say they're very exceptional. This is in one of the largest transit authorities in the world, hosting over 100,000 units. So I'm going to have to second what they're saying here. This is a very proven system. Next, please. So Acadian Security, at no cost to the parish, provided 3 units and technical support to perform a pilot and test the system out to ensure it meets our demands and needs. During this pilot, it was found that this GPS solution offers all reporting required or requested by fleet, and is shown to offer substantial in-depth data and reporting capabilities to allow us to become more data-driven with our management decisions. Next slide, please. This slide represents a major production report with the ability to identify PTO operation, allowing for a data solution that measures productivity, such as mowing or spraying of grass. I'll also add that mosquito control, we're able to do the same mapping that shows us the spraying that we do in that department also. As seen in this report, areas in red represent the PTO, which is mowing of grass. Areas in blue represent travel to and from those areas. Features shown in the report can be emailed to supervisors or viewed immediately for daily management decisions. Next slide. This is just a slide depicting the same type of data. We're able to export it to Excel for further analysis. Next slide, please. In this slide, this is another specifically determined actual PTO production to include duration and distance by equipment. So if you notice, if you can see the slide, you can see duration times of 20 hours and the distance of 42 miles. This is a type of productivity reporting that is going to require very nice data-driven methods to give us those management decisions on a daily basis. Next slide, please. This system interfaces using color, symbols, and visual alerts to allow easy viewing and finding assets and statuses in real time. What this does is it allows us to put it on the dash here and walk by and view it in real time. I don't know if any of you have seen this, but guys, this is a very impressive unit. It is actually second to second. So as you see in that slide, you can see the triangle shapes. That is actually a moving tractor, and the little orange triangle with the exclamation point, that is showing you the PTO is engaged. So that allows you to just walk by, take a glance, and show that that unit is actually performing its job at this time. Next slide. Asset utilization. GPS has enhanced the fleet asset management with deeper insights into how your assets are being used. They report on true asset utilization, dwell time, yard movements, and yard entry and exit times. They also allow you to follow trends on asset usage and location directly from Acadian's program. I want to elaborate on that a little and let you know this is web-based. So if we are off-site, we're able to manage these devices and pick up. One of the things I liked about it was when it's time to inventory these assets, we're not building lists through our departments to find assets and locate them out in the street that may be moved on a daily basis, such as heavy equipment. So this allows us to get in a vehicle and roll out with a member of finance and find those units and perform our, what did I just say? I'm sorry. And perform that asset certification, in a quicker method. Next. All right, this tool is also useful to allow managers to assess resources and make real-time decisions on utilization. This is just another example of a type of report that we have here. It is a monthly report showing the total time of use, total time of idling. This report doesn't really depict great accuracy at the moment. We're currently working on it at the period, but this is an idea of where we're heading. Next slide, please. The system will make our workflows much more efficient by integrating with our fuel, fleet, finance, and work order software from Tyler. And the system itself also is already fully set up to integrate with many third-party vendors and manufacturers to expand the data capabilities. One of the things I found in fleet was the inaccuracies of the human error of entering mileage and hours were god awfully bad throughout all agencies. So we use these GPSs and we're able to integrate them into our fleet software, allowing for better maintenance patterns and use them as data-driven tools through the fleet to alert us on those maintenance patterns along with check engine lights and items like that. So next item. Alerts and reports can be set up to automatically notify supervisors of specified situations. Now, this is one that possibly could have used not long ago. For instance, vehicle gets in a wreck. As that airbag is deployed or that metric sensor sets, we will get an automatic alert showing us that that vehicle has been in an accident and gives us the capability of calling our driver and checking to see if they're okay, or alerting some type of efforts to check on this individual or call 911. I think that's an invaluable tool for safety for our guys out in the street. Next slide, please. And safety, system monitors for safety purposes such as collisions, speeding, seatbelt usage, and other important driving factors. We've talked about the collision efforts. The seatbelt usage is a big one here. It monitors daily for that, providing us the necessary data to keep our employees safe. Next, please. And fuel fleet management, as we all know, one of the most costly expenses in government is fuel. The systems make it easier to monitor the fuel usage on a driver and equipment level. Going back to integration, using this to integrate in with a fleet management system, we're able to track the trends of fuel and identify where our fuel is going if we're having problems with our vehicles, if there's theft, underutilization, overutilization, lots of options here to provide very good data decisions. Next. And this is one I thought y'all would like. This system allows for custom tailored dashboards displaying data specified by the individual user. So at the end of the day, Mr. Martinez is on the hook again for another dashboard. And this would allow him to set something up to be transparent. And I think that's what we're looking for in the parish, is to show that we're productive and be transparent. But it also allows for tailored dashboards for each manager for his individual needs. Next. So here we see the benefits of the GPS. Asset accountability, driver accountability, safety monitoring, preventive maintenance, production reporting, efficiency reporting, auxiliary input monitoring, fuel management, cost savings, ultimately saving money while increasing production using data-driven decisions. In closing, I would like to conclude with sincere gratitude to this administration for their confidence in sharing the vision of our team, allowing me to bring this plan forward and proudly serve Ascension with confidence, and ask that as representatives of the community that you support our efforts to move Ascension forward. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that presentation. We should have no doubt as to what this system is going to provide for us. Any questions? Councilman Mason.
First off, I want to say thank you very much, Jay, for that. That was an excellent presentation. I'm glad Councilman Wagesback did ask you to go over that. I'm excited to see the opportunity that we are going to get a better system for, less cost. So I'd say kudos to you, and please keep that hard work up. We really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Councilman Malonzo.
Yeah, thank you, Jay. Yeah, that was a great presentation. I just want to touch real quick. I'm real big on the preventative maintenance of our equipment. I know in the past that's been a big issue during the spring and summer months. Sometimes we'll have 3, 4, 8 tractors down, with minor mechanical things going on, but we're not keeping track. So would this system allow you to track your hours on equipment for your oil changes, hydraulics, all that's where we can better take care of our equipment. It'll last longer, and it'll help us get us on a schedule. Instead of having 8 lawnmowers out, you might have 1 tractor every week, that you're working on and things like that. Is this I'm seeing you mentioned the preventative maintenance. So is this system capable of that?
Yes, sir, absolutely. And that is a great question. That was one of my findings here in Fleet, was we were not tracking hours correctly, and we were also not alerting individuals that their equipment was to be serviced. It was left at the supervisor level. So this was a very huge part of this, because I come from the maintenance and repair world. And in that world, we need to track those hours. It is our job to let those supervisors know, and then on their end, it's their job to bring them in. So this is a very huge effort to bring that to Fleet and shape Fleet into what it should be in Ascension.
Great. Thank you, man. I know sometimes there's been instances to where we've had to pay overtime on the weekends, just to get or grass cut because so many mowers were out during the week. We didn't have enough equipment for the bodies. So yeah, that's good. I appreciate it. Thank you, Jade.
Absolutely.
Councilman Ogeron.
Thanks, Mr. Cagg. I heard Councilman Lawler and Councilwoman Casso's point as to implementing certain protocols prior to moving forward with the GPS systems. Were either of you thinking about adding that as an amendment to this to require these protocols before anything goes forward, or what are we looking at as far as that concerns? I'm new to this one, so I'm relying on you guys to kind of fill us in a little more.
Okay, Parish President Quintmore.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, obviously, you know, I've heard the same stories that many of y'all had about the misuse of this tool. That is certainly not the purpose here, but we will need to turn on the systems in order to look for quirks, in order to start to develop the policy. I think what we're looking for is no disciplinary action will be taken until a policy is in place, not to turn on the units. We have a lot of data connectivity to do here, and so we'll obviously need to turn on the units to do just that, and to look to the develop policy on what equipment's being used, what's not. If we have 8 dump trucks or 2 just sitting there, that will allow Jay to make better decisions in fleet. So there's a lot to go on here, but we'll need to turn those units on to get to that point. But obviously, yeah, no disciplinary action will be taken until policy is obviously in place. Thank you.
Okay, Councilwoman Casso.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate that you're going to implement a 90-day, I take it maybe 90 days or so without any discipline. I'd also like to see us have, if you think it's reasonable, a 90-day time frame. Whenever that motion is made, I'll be happy to amend it, that we have 90 days to get this policy in place so that we can move forward and implement this process in the way that it is intended. And I thank you all for for sharing my concern for our team members, that this be managed correctly and utilized efficiently.
Thank you, Ms.
Councilman
Casso.
Robert.
My question would be to President Quintmore as far as our policy currently with anyone driving a parish vehicle. I would assume they have signed some type of policy that, you know, goes over your regulars: don't speed, wear your seatbelt, don't sleep, don't eat while you drive, don't talk on a cell phone. That might be a quick way just to throw something out there for your main safety things. And then, you know, through the time you can develop the policy and, you know, monitor the things you needed to monitor. But I feel like if we know they're speeding, you kind of got to do something, you know.
Parish President.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I mean, obviously we have a gross negligence policy. If we get a call of somebody, you know, jetting through traffic or driving unreasonable, we will obviously investigate those things. But, you know, developing a policy, we want to do it right and go through it thoroughly, make sure that we work out the kinks and the loopholes to make sure we're not doing anything that's subject to misinterpretation, whatever be the case. So, yeah, obviously we do have some rules in place, but I'm gonna tell you the monitoring from a safety issue, if a vehicle gets in an accident, which we've had recently, that's something we want to be able to respond to and get notification immediately in case the driver's knocked out or whatever the circumstance. So this is something that we want to, from a safety standpoint, provide for our employees. Thank you.
Councilman Ogeron.
Mr. Quintmore, thank you for that cooperation. I intend on bringing that, starting up that policy move in the next personnel committee meeting, so we can get together with HR, with Mr. Diaz, with Jade, and we'll kind of put something together and get that ball rolling so we can get it done within the 90 days that Councilwoman Casso has suggested. So hopefully administration's cooperative and agrees to do that, and get the ball rolling. Thanks for the thumbs up, sir.
Okay.
So
Any other
John, do I
comments?
need to amend? I think I may need to amend
That's what I was
Aaron's
gonna
motion.
ask.
Yeah,
You
Mr. Chair.
want to amend the motion for approval to include what, Councilwoman Castle?
To include a 90-day period in which the administration will work to accomplish a set of policies and procedures around utilization of this tool.
I second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second to amend the.
Mr. Chair? Yeah,
Councilman
that's what
Lambert.
that's what I was gonna add. I made the original motion. And also I wanted to add that, not only for the safety of our employees, just in case if a piece of equipment is stolen or vehicle stolen, we can also track. The tracking on this is what is the big eye catcher. So I will, if you need me to amend that, that would be in my motion for the 90-day policy to go in effect.
Okay, from my understanding is we are going to approve the service contract with Acadian Total Security for the GPS mobile monitoring service. And that will include equipment. We want to activate this so from a safety perspective and a stolen equipment perspective, we can track it. We can start tracking it immediately. And the 90-day policy is to prevent any disciplinary action as a result of this monitoring service, correct? Is that okay, Councilwoman Castle?
Until that, and to get the policy and procedure put together.
Right, and to put the policy and procedure together within that 90-day period, okay? Is everybody in agreement with that? You have that okay, Secretary Dawn, you have that okay?
Sure, we got it.
Okay, very good. We'll have a motion and a second to amend the approval of the executives, execute the service contract with Acadian Total Service to include the 90 days, I guess you say 90-day delay in disciplinary action, but to proceed getting it installed for safety and tracking purposes. I got a motion. I got a second. Is there any further discussion? Any objection? So ordered. Okay, we'll move on. Item E. Amendment number 1 to the master contract for H&O grounds maintenance services for additional scope of work, mowing of roadside ditches in the parish for an additional amount of $140,000. Ron Savoy.
Good afternoon.
Okay, Ron, go on your item. H&O.
Yeah, we're just asking approval to amend the scope to add the mowing of roadside ditches in the parish and increase the amount of the contract, not an additional $140,000. And the intent of this is to run a pilot program in the vegetation management group of the parish on the east bank with the state highways, as well as looking at the west bank as well as the whole process, but kick it off and see what we get out of it in the East Bank's state highway work. And in doing so, there's 5 employees in a crew that currently are, for this work. We'll be able to shift them over into the day-to-day operations, and in doing so, not link them to any of the maintenance plan. With the staff that we currently have, the intent is to allow them to focus on a rotation undisturbed to where they can stay on a course of track for the 2021 vegetation season. So shifting these 5 other employees over, we're going to get those priority calls that we just have to respond to. And in having to do that currently or in the past year, it really renders our operation of maintenance because we're pulling off of a goal of staying on course. So we feel like this would be a great benefit to that department, and it'll be a great pilot to see what it results in addition to the item that you guys just voted for the GPSs. We're trying to get to that data-driven type work. This pilot will be something that will branch off of what Mr. Jade presented to you guys in the fact that the contractor that we're talking to is willing to let us install some of these GPS tracking and PTO tracking devices on their equipment if we move forward with this. So not only will you have the current staff's data that we'll be able to track and show the progression of, we'll also get the third-party data to be able to see how their performance is compared to different methods of service. So we're looking forward to this and hoping you guys will entertain it. See what we can do.
Motion by Coach, second by Councilman Mason. Any further discussion? Councilwoman Cazzo.
Thank you very much. Ron, great to see you. So tell me, we're going to be spending $140,000 to mow state highways. What's the rate reimbursable from the state for that service that we're going to be providing to them?
$50,000 annually. So okay. We do get funds, and it's been known, Ms. Terry, that we're probably, a good amount of money over that every year anyhow. But the state way it goes, we just take what they offer. We don't want to not accept those funds. But so that is a good point that we do have revenue coming in already to possibly cover this, and in turn shift that whole 5-man crew over. So I think it'll be a good rate of return on investment.
Thank you, sir.
Councilman Robert.
I was just curious about the GPS units that we may install on contractors' equipment, to the extent of once that equipment's off of the job, I would assume that's taken off. And secondly, I would assume we do that on equipment that's really, or jobs that are really more so time contracts rather than something where you're contracting an actual task, correct? Because I mean, how much of an expense are we able to put on a contracted vehicle or contracted equipment or contractors equipment?
Sure. Point taken. It's not something that we would be required to do. It would be the same rate of a unit in one of our pieces of equipment. Joel, is the
I'm just saying,
idea
can we
just
put
to
the
catch
money out for that as a council on a private GPS or on a private equipment?
It's currently under that, lease of us moving forward with this contract. So the work that's going to be performed is for the parish. So what we would be tracking is the work that they perform on the state highways. And look, this thing is, you saw some of the route tracking that you would be able to see. You'd almost follow this daily. And so this will be going into what we do in operations of breaking down a 10-hour day and managing the vegetation department as a whole. What are they doing in 10-hour days per piece of equipment? And so if this contract it's a way for me to manage these guys and hold them accountable to the fact that I expect you to do X amount of miles per task order. Are you performing accordingly or not? And so it'll be valid reasoning behind, do we want to keep this pilot moving, or are they producing to our expectations? So I just feel like it's a very transparent way to follow the pilot and prove it either worth the return investment, or do we see we need to go back the way we were doing things?
Thank you.
All right, any further discussion? I think I had a motion by Coach, if I'm not mistaken, seconded by, who was that? Terry?
Michael.
No, Michael Mason, that's correct. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any objection? The motion carries. Moving on to item F. Thanks, Ron. Appreciate your explanation for that. Item F, discussion and approval of options to proceed with Lamar Dixon Gym Project. Dean Thomason, Project Manager. Hello there, Dean. How you doing?
Hey, Mr. John. Doing good. How y'all doing?
Good.
Basically, we come to see what the council wants to do with the gym. As y'all know, we had 9 bidders. The lowest bid we had was 3.3 out of a 2.5 million bid. So it's looking for options. Y'all want to do a budget amendment? Do we want to try to go ahead and amend the budget and then do some valued engineering? We want to table the project.
Any question, Councilman Malonzo?
Hey, Dean. Hey, can you discuss with us again the re-engineered option? I remember Ricky Compton mentioned to us about, we had the potential to save a couple $100,000 there.
Yeah, what that is y'all amend the budget to match what the bid was. Once we've matched the bid and that's been approved, then the contractor, which has already agreed to what we call valued engineering, and we sit down and we go through and we do deductive engineering changes without having to change the design of the project. So we don't incur no more engineering fees. So basically it's just removing parts and pieces, some of the bells and whistles that we can do without in the project.
Do we have an idea what that number looks like?
We roughly got it around 300,000 currently, between the engineer talking with the low bidder. They feel like we could probably take 300,000 out of the bid.
So that final number would be around 3 million?
Yeah, it'd be between 2.9 and 3 million, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Chair, I'll make a motion to take that route that we just discussed, to do the I'm having a brain fart. What is it called, Dean? The value engineer approach, and amend the budget to 3 million instead of the original 2.5.
Councilman Travis Turner.
Yeah, I was going to comment where Chase kind of beat me too, but I was going to go ahead and make the motion to do the value engineering. But I guess the question is, if we do that, do we need to say 3 million on it, or do we just do the budget amendment as a value budget?
You need to amend the budget to match the low bid. You got to amend the budget for the entire low bid, and then you can go back and work with it after that.
So I make a motion to amend the budget to the low bid, to accept the low bid.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a motion from Councilman Turner, second by Councilman Thomas, to amend the budget to the low bid after the value engineering. Correct?
Chair, I would like to withdraw my original motion.
Okay. Councilman Alonso withdraws his motion. So the motion on the table is Councilman Turner to amend the budget to whatever the value engineering, right?
No, you can't do that, John. You have to amend the budget to match what the low bid was.
All
and
right.
then you can
amend
do
the budget to match what the low bid was, and seconded by Councilman Thomas. And I had Councilman Orgeron.
I've got some concerns with us proceeding in this manner. We are saying we're going to approve work after, let me strike that. We put a certain product out there and we asked for a low bid, and we received a low bid. Now we're saying we're willing to amend our budget items, not knowing exactly what this low bid is going to provide to us. I've got some concerns. I'm not exactly sure what bells and whistles they intend on removing from this project to make this project go forward. I recall, and having spoken with Mr. Turner and Thomas about this basketball gym, there were certain things that they were looking for in making this gym the top site for AAU basketball in the area. And I would hate for us to agree to limit some of those bells and whistles if there are really things that are necessary to enhance the attractiveness of this gym. So I think before we move forward with okaying this, I for one want to know what we're buying before I agree to give somebody $3 million. I mean, Dean, is there any way that we can get any information from this low bidder before they start revising their engineering so that we know exactly what we're purchasing?
Yeah, we're working hand in hand with them, and just to give you some for instances, there was a clause in there to have $1 million insurance on the design engineer of the metal building. And we've never required a design engineer to have his own insurance. We require the building to be insured structurally sound. All right, so that's a requirement we can take out. All right, underground pipe in municipalities, they are now hanging this piping in the concrete with hangers. We've never done that, so we can take that out. I mean, we've put pipe in the ground for years and never put hangers on. As far as y'all talking about the aesthetics, the wood floors, the design of the gym, the bleachers and all of that we ain't touching. Everything we're touching, you'll never see. If that helps him.
I'm looking at Councilman Turner's face. I want to see a smile and him saying he's satisfied with that.
Satisfied, of course.
Okay, then I'll withdraw my questions. Let's go forward.
Okay, we got a motion and a second I'm not going to repeat it. If you want to repeat it, Councilman Turner.
It's to amend the budget. That's what your motion is, and then you're going to do a valued engineer.
It's the motion to amend the budget.
That's correct. Okay. So that's the motion. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Councilman Malonzo.
Yeah, I guess now would be as good a time as any to put on our radars where we're going to get the other 500,000 for, because wasn't it around 2.5 million that we had budgeted for this year for the gym? So we're going to need roughly, another 500,000. So just throwing that out there.
Councilman Robert.
My only question was about the hanging the pipe for the utilities inside the gym. Can you give me a little bit of detail on that? Like,
it's a concrete hanger that basically supports the pipe in the concrete. It's an underground support. We've never used them in the past. It's some new stuff they're using in municipality in New Orleans. And once we saw it, I mean, we've never used it.
do we have, I would assume this product has been used for years, or, I mean, and the only reason I'm asking this is in my experience, whenever you use a new product that might have been out for 5 years or so, and we might find out in 10 years this product completely compromises, and that's all your utilities and your slab, right?
No, we're not changing any of the material of the products of the piping or anything.
No, but you're hanging it instead of burying it?
Yeah, this is like a pipe hanger. If you look in, it's like a saddle stirrup with a clamp and a rod. And all it does is suspend it in a certain area. And I mean, once we set them in stone, we usually bed them in sand or gravel. They're not going anywhere. And I mean, we've done it for 100 years.
Molly, whenever you're putting these in there, so you're digging your trenches for your utilities or your pipes or whatnot, and then instead of backfilling it with sand, you're doing this, or I don't understand. Are you putting this inside of the slab? Inside the thickness of the slab?
It's the same. It's like secondary support. And the engineer and the designer put in the project. Like I said, we've never used.
And Travis, I'm not knocking down your project. I'm all for you. I'm not gonna stop it. But I do want to just look into that a little bit, and just because, let's make sure this product has been used more than just a couple of years, if it's okay. But it's not going to stop what I'm doing tonight. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any objection? The amended motion carries. Thank you, everybody. Item F.
Thank you.
That was F. Item G, renewal of a contract with CK Associates LLC for stormwater management program plan under the municipal separate storm sewer system permitting program. Total contract not to exceed amount of $50,000. Jerome Fournier.
Mr. Chairman, yes, Jerome here. I'd like to introduce Dean Wallace, who's on our staff. He joined the planning department about a year ago, and Dean has been directing this program. This is for keeping the parish in compliance with the state permit that we have, and Dean's here to answer any very technical questions that you might have, right?
I have a little background on this, and I'll just share with y'all that this is a regulatory compliance requirement. So we're basically just renewing the contract with CK to keep us out of trouble. Correct, Jerome?
That is correct, yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move that we move forward with this contract.
Terry has a motion from Terry, second by Aaron Lawler. Any further discussions? Councilman Ogeron.
Jerome, is this an addition to the existing contract that we have with them? Is this like an amendment? Or is this a new contract that we're entering into?
No, it's just a continuation of the existing contract that we have with them. We contracted with them last year. Now this is a continuation. We're asking them to do some additional work that they did not complete last year. So that's where we stand on this.
Why didn't they complete the work that they were contracted to do last year? What happened there?
You have an answer? I'll let Dean answer that one, all right?
All right, thanks.
We didn't really have a stormwater program completely in place at the time, or anybody really running the program. So that's pretty much why I didn't get,
So this isn't something that we asked them to do and they failed to do. We're asking them to do something new. Is that
That's
correct?
correct.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
All righty. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Okay. Any further discussion? Any objection? The motion carries. Item 8, amendment number 1 to the master contract with Tipton Associates, Ascension Parish OEP and Human Resources relocation. So the additional phase 2, complete design and development, construction documents, bidding and negotiations. Fee of $16,000 in phase 3, construction administration and closeout fee of $11,000. Total amendment amount is $27,000 with a total contract amount of $35,000. Ricky Compton.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So last year we engaged an architecture firm to look at redesigning the minute clerk space that the clerk of court has vacated since inhabiting her new space in the new courthouse building. And when we move OEP into that space, we would like to consolidate our government offices even more and move HR into the old OEP space. So last September, we entered phase 1. We got through the concept plan development. OEP director as well as the HR director have both signed off on the plan and the vision for that. And this is phase 2 and 3 of that effort where we get our construction drawings complete. We can go out to bid, and then they will also manage the construction administration. We had budgeted funds to do the construction, which will occur this year. We were hoping to be in before hurricane season begins, but just with everything that's going on with construction materials and everything else, that may not happen, but that does give us some flexibility with getting the space perfect before we move OEP in and HR over.
Okay. Any questions? Councilwoman Chazo?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ricky, tell me about the design for the area of OEP. Will there, and you know I have one concern, will there be more than one bathroom?
Yes, ma'am. So if you've ever been into the minute clerk space, they had an existing kitchen and bathroom area, and that will remain. It has 2 bathrooms currently, and that will remain as well. There will be a conference room, a new kitchen space, a large war room, and then some separate offices for the director and assistant director. We'll have a call center space, and then 2 new offices that will front out into the war room. for those that need to be in that space and a new IT closet area. So it's pretty inclusive. Rachel's been working hard with the architect.
Follow up, if I may, Mr. Chairman. Is there area for to bunk? I mean, these folks stay there sometime round the clock, and there's nowhere to. I mean, I hate to see people in a sleeping bag on the floor. I know that that's a challenge, and I don't know that this space offers any possibility for that.
It's just not big enough. We are pushing the limits to get the spaces that Rachel wanted, and yeah, to put a whole new bunk room in would be something we're not able to account for.
I understand. Just a wish.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Lawler.
Yes, Ricky. I was reading the Jefferson Parish Hazard Mitigation Plan. One of the things they talk about is hardening of buildings, and with OEP has to be operational through all sorts of storms and that sort of thing. Do we have the ability, or is this building going to be hardened to allow them to withstand hurricanes, tornadoes, that sort of thing?
That's a good question. I would imagine we could get with Rachel and figure that out. I mean, it's part of the courthouse. It's a brick structure. It's not wood. So I'm not exactly sure how much hardening you would need to do, but perhaps we could go in and look at some hurricane shutters or things like that you could add to the building to further secure it. But we hadn't considered that at this phase of the development, but perhaps next year.
Okay, if we look at it just for the future, I know in Hurricane Katrina, a lot of Jefferson Parish flooded because they had to pull people out of the storm, out of the pumping rooms because they weren't hardened against hurricanes. If those would have been allowed to run, people wouldn't have flooded. So just a thought.
Okay, any other questions? Any other comments? I got a motion. Do I have a motion yet? I don't think so. Motion. Who gave me the motion? Terry?
I think Ogeron.
I'm sorry?
I think Mr. Ogeron had the motion.
Okay. Councilman Ogeron made the motion. It was seconded by Lawler.
Michael Mason's got the second. Doesn't matter.
I think Michael's really excited about having a second, so you might want to give it to him.
Okay, Michael, we give you credit.
Sorry, Aaron.
Any other discussions?
Thanks, Joe.
Any objection? All right, the motion carries. Item L, resolution for authorized signatory on behalf of the parish of sales tax exemption certificates. O'Neill Parrington.
Yes, this is just authorizing the CFO to sign those certificates for sales tax exemptions when they're doing, the parish president has asked that when they're doing parish projects.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilwoman Cazzo, seconded by Councilman
Michael
Ogeron.
Mason.
Michael Mason. Sorry about that. Any discussion? Any objection? The motion carries. Item K, the monthly contract report. No, I take it back. Item J, amendment number 2, the management and operating agreement between Big Events LLC and Ascension Parish Government to extend the agreement for an additional year through February 28, 2022, to continue as preferred food vendor for all food and beverages for concessions, catering projects, or events at LDEC. Kyle Rogers.
Good evening, everybody. This is Jazz filling in for Kyle tonight.
Hey, Jazz.
Hey, this is an extension from our current catering and concessions contract. We've had them for the past 2 years, and we want to extend as it stands.
Okay. Councilman Robert.
I looked at this item a little bit and looked up to see where the company's from and noticed it's not from Ascension Parish. My question is, did we consider that? Are we allowed to bid this out again? Is it the end of the contract or renewal? I'd like to see some different people in Ascension Parish have a contract like this, especially for Lamar Dixon.
Jazz, you have a comment?
2 years ago, we actually had an RFP done, and we only had 2 companies actually bid on it. One was Piccadilly, which was our former concessionaire, and then Big Events also.
Well, I'm just saying, especially with COVID and everything else, I know a lot of restaurants are going back or having some hard times. Maybe we should put it back out to bid again and give some people in Ascension Parish an opportunity to get this.
I mean, we're open to it. This is kind of you guys' decision on if you want to put it out for bid. We've been very happy with the services that we've been provided, especially during Hurricane Laura. We had the medical special needs shelter, and the catering company we used, they were able to provide wraparound services for the shelter, and we were able to kind of be a staple for the state to be able to do services like this in the future. So, they've been really good for what we need. They provide both concessions and catering, which a lot of companies aren't able to provide both due to the number of events that we have.
Does anybody else? I'm sorry.
Chaz, if I may ask, is this a timing situation? I mean, the contract says extended agreement for an additional year through 2022. Is their contract kind of winding down? Do we have time to go out for bids? Is what I'm saying, because that process usually takes a couple, 3 months.
Yeah, it is almost over. I believe it was at the beginning of the year, and that's why we're trying to get an extension now.
So their contract is already over from the beginning of the year?
I'm not sure when we went to council the last time, but it was in the beginning of the year.
All right. No, I mean, we can't put it out for bid. It's the same either way, is what I'm saying. If it's already expired, then I don't see it would matter if we wait a couple months.
Jazz, what do we do about events between now and whenever we go out for bids and get a new bid, get the new bids in?
If their contract is up and we do not extend, we have no concessions or catering available because they would not be able to operate as no contract.
So they're not doing anything as we speak now?
No, they are currently, but that's why we're going up for bid.
You said they are?
I see President Quitmo.
Yes, due to the situation, the administration doesn't hesitate to go out for bid. I would just suggest that we move forward with this and we go out for bid next year. To make this decision tonight and be without services is not a good thing. They've been a reputable company. They've gotten us through a very difficult year last year. But yes, happy to go out for bid next year and do it. We need to think ahead on these things, and it could be administration maybe should have mentioned that. And we're going to start forecasting now for future that we think items should go out for bid. But at this point tonight, I just encourage everyone to move forward with this contract, and certainly we can go out for bid next year.
Okay, and I had seen, Dawn, you had your hand up. Did you want to make a comment?
Yes, I just wanted to tell you that the contract actually will end February 28th of this year. So it's in place for March 1st for another year. So we still do have a contract in place right now.
Thank you, Dawn, for those details. Any further discussion? Councilman Mason.
I'd agree with what the parish president said. Given the time constraints that we're in right now, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion that we approve this, renew the contract for this year, and then open it up for bid starting next year.
All right, I got a motion from Councilman Mason, second by Councilwoman Cazzo. Any further discussions? Any objections? Oh, Coach Thomas.
I got discussion. Listening at Joel asked that the contract, it goes out for Ascension Parish workers, or Ascension Parish people, so to speak, that we'll be able to get that out. I would think if we're going to do that, we need to do it across the board with all the hirings and with all the contracts that we have in terms of if you're looking for Ascension Parish people that we have in the parish, allowing them to have a first shot at which at all the jobs or the vendors or anything else. I think we have enough Ascension Parish people that can do whatever we need. That it can be not that we won't want to go outside of the parish and getting some of the best that we have, but we do have some people in Ascension that can do some of the best things that we're asking to do within the parish. So, Joe, with that comment, that came to mind You know, if we're gonna do that, then we need to do it across the board with everybody and with everything.
I think, Coach, I think Parish President shared exactly those thoughts for being able to predict and keeping up forecasts when we have these contracts up for renewal, and we'll keep that in mind, I'm sure. But for the purposes of this contract, the timing, we need to get it renewed so we don't lose that service out at Lamar Dixon, okay?
Sir, I understand that. But again, we need to put Ascension first.
I think we all agree. All right, I have a motion and a second. Councilman Malonzo?
Yeah, just real quick, I don't know if state bidding laws allows us to just take bids from people within our parish. I don't know if that's something that we can do.
No, I wasn't asking that. I was just saying I did another bid to allow them in the parish to do it. I never asked that.
You cannot do that. You cannot do that, Chase. You're correct. You can't just limit to your parish.
Yeah, to clarify, I'm saying put the whole thing out to bid to our parish and other parishes, again, since there wasn't interest before.
Right, we can certainly encourage our parish vendors to bid, but we're not obligated. We can't be obligated just to them, correct, O'Neill?
That's correct. That is correct.
And we didn't put this out to bid, correct?
We did before.
No, but I know, I'm just saying we didn't this time.
No.
Okay.
It's being renewed. Okay, I got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. Item K, monthly contract report for January 2021. Gentlemen and lady, is included in your packet for review. She lists the contracts. Just review those if you would. And if you have any questions, feel free to call Sandra and she'll be more than happy to clarify that for you. Moving on, finance reports. 6A, budget amendment number 2, approval to introduce ordinance to amend 2021 budget. Dawn Caballero, there she is.
Good evening again. You have before you budget amendment number 2, the ordinance which reads as follows. An ordinance to amend the ordinance approving, adopting, and appropriating the 2021 operating and capital budgets for the Parish of Ascension, adopted by the Ascension Parish Council on the 19th day of November 2020. Section 1. The Ascension Parish Council hereby ordains that the ordinance approving, adopting, and appropriating the 2020 operating capital budgets for the Parish of Ascension is hereby amended, approved, and appropriated as follows. Operating budget. General Fund, to amend the contract with Tyler Technologies to include EAM, Parks and Recreation 311, and My Civic Software, as well as implementation and training services. General Administration, expenditures, professional services, $392,000. Lamar Dixon, insulation replacement project at the Trademark Building, expenditures, major repairs, non-capital, $180,000.
Motion to approve.
I had a motion from Councilwoman Cazzo, seconded by Councilman Mason. Any discussion? Any questions? Any objection? That motion carries. Item 6B, bid quotes. To accept the lowest responsible bid quote as follows. Cynthia LeBlanc, Director and Devin Russ, Procurement Project Manager.
Evening, Council. On January 12, 2021, the Purchasing Department received 9 bids for the Lamar Dixon area lighting upgrade, Parish of Ascension. After review, the Purchasing Department and the Lamar Dixon Expo Center recommends accepting the lowest responsive bids submitted by Dole Electric Incorporated and to authorize the Parish President to enter into any applicable agreement or contract for this project.
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Cazzo, second by Councilman Dempsey Lambert. Any discussion? Any questions? Any objection? There being no objection, that motion carries. I'll take a motion for item 7, but I want to just thank you, Finance Council and Finance Committee and council members for your patience tonight. We had a lot to cover and it took a while, but thank you so much for your patience. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Councilwoman Cazell, second by Councilman Robert. Thank you, gentlemen and lady. Y'all have a good evening. We'll see some of y'all in a few minutes.
Thank you.